Hello my friends, we got some confirmation from the Institute of the War Researchers that Ukrainian forces crossed the Dnepr river near to Antonovka over here. They even published the map. So it is like that, the Ukrainian forces have crossed the Dnepr river, and before I thought that it's just a small camp or something, because I already got this information from the Russian military bloggers, and yes, I monitored the Russian resources as well. So they wrote that Ukraine created some sort of the small camp on this part of the land, but actually what we see is not just a small military camp. No, we took quite a lot of the territory. For now it's early to say of how big this part is, but this terrain is very difficult. There are lots of the swamps and lakes. But from locals who live in Zelenskyy, we know that there is some fighting between Ukrainian forces and Russians on this side. Because of the swamps and lakes, Russia cannot build the defense lines in that area. Basically, they cannot dig into the ground building the trenches. And that's why they built their defense line over here across the red line that is shown on this map. On the deep state map, we don't have that movement of Ukrainian army because this resource mostly uses the social media, published photos and videos to confirm the movement of either of the sides. So based on the map that we saw before, it could be something like that, and we are very close to this road that leads actually to Zelenskyy. The big problem for Ukraine is also to cross this river. It is quite wide. Yes, it's more narrow compared to Dnepr river, but still it's big. Also, there is one more river in that area. Well, Ukraine may still got Zelenskyy under control, but for how long can we hold it? Because without the proper supplies, this vector for the counterattack is not possible. The Antonovsky bridge was blown up by Russians as well as the railway bridge in this area. So the only way is to use ferries, but they could be also under artillery fire by the Russian Federation. That is why I don't see this direction as the major one for the future counterattack. This area might be used, however, to deflect the attention of the Russian army, and with some time we may accumulate some of the resources here. Just using the regular boats and with the help of artillery, we may start the attack on Zelenskyy and we may take this road to go further. But still we need to have the good supplies for further movement, and for that we need to repair the Antonovsky bridge, but unfortunately it's not possible in a close perspective. We may put the Panton bridge somewhere over here where it is narrow, for example in Kherson, or we may repair the railroad bridge. But again, you need lots of the time for it, and firstly you need to secure the area around the bridge. But again, Russia may use the cruise missiles, aviation and everything they have to eliminate the breach again. So in general, I do expect the advancement of Ukrainian forces maybe even to Zelenskyy and even further, but as I said to you, it's not the main direction for the counterattack. Supply is the big issue in this region, also the terrain around this area. But nevertheless, it's the good news that Ukrainian army is moving forward. Unfortunately, Russia is moving forward as well. Today it was the big update for Bakhmut. It was like minor changes for a few days, but as you can see, Russia took lots of the territory of the residential areas on the western side of the city. They successfully crossed the road, even though they lost lots of the people, but still they got the land. So if we go to the timeline, it was yesterday. I'll go a little bit up and it is today. So you can see they took this part, quite huge one. They entered this residential area across the road. And also what worries me the most, that they advanced towards Kromove on the northern part as well. Basically, they already cut this road for supplies a long time ago. It's in a gray area, but the gray area is very close to Kromove, so there is the possibility for Russians to advance and to capture this area as well. And in case Russia would capture this crossroad in Kromove and this crossroad in the city, we may say that Russia would have captured the city. But now it's not like that. The Ukraine still has the supply line somewhere here across the fields, and and also towards Hromovo, but it's very risky. Those roads are constantly under the fire by the Russian artillery. Well, there is no much left from the city, and unfortunately I do expect Bakhmut to fall in around 2 weeks. As you can see, the Russian advancement intensified recently. There are less and less buildings available for Ukrainian forces to resist. But still, Russia is unable to encircle the city because they're in lack of the resources. So it's not possible for Wagner, not possible for the regular Russian army. Today, Prigozhin admitted it. What he says that they will push Ukrainian army again, but also he says that taking Bakhmut will not bring the strategic win for Russia. Well, for me it was understandable a long time ago, but for Prigozhin it looked like some sort of the opening. He said that the next defense line Ukraine will build near to the Chasiv Yar, and the next one, and the next one, and he says that there's simply not enough forces in Russia or not enough men to capture all of those cities with that resistance. Today, the Ukrainian General Syrskyi attended the front lines near to the Bakhmut, and he says that the main tactics for Ukraine is to cause Russian losses. Unfortunately, we also have severe losses in the urban fighting inside the Bakhmut city. That's why I think we are not holding too much in the city itself. We retreat little by little. So now I think that the Ukrainian army withdraw the forces little by little from Bakhmut, because if we lose Hromovo, there will be no way for us to go from it. Also, Wagner say that Ukraine used very bad tactics, so basically we mine the buildings in the area and then we leave them, so many Russians go into those buildings, and after that the Ukrainian soldiers just blow those buildings up. Prigozhin was very disappointed with that tactics. Just imagine around 50 soldiers coming to the big building and then no one. And today he published a comment that they will not take the prisoners from Ukrainian side. Well, what can I say? In that case, they should expect the same attitude towards their soldiers. Again, he gave the interview, or he filmed the video. He's into PR, into this blogging stuff. He says that he doesn't understand why he cannot take new prisoners into the Wagner. He continued to blame the Russian military command and Russian officials for taking this war not that serious as him. Again, they're in lack of the equipment and supplies and everything. And the international analytics and experts say that after the Bakhmut, the Wagner army will be over. And I think that even though they still have some thousands of soldiers, mainly their force was vanished in Soledar and in Bakhmut. For now, Wagner have to work with the regular Russian army to advance in the Bakhmut city. Basically, to have the advantage in the Bakhmut, they put everything they have. And Prigozhin doesn't like it. He says that his army will be formatted, and he asks to increase the Wagner group population, let's say, because they have the better military commanders and better everything, but Shoigu doesn't think so. So it's good that there is the conflict between Wagner's Russian army and also Russian FSB. They all hate each other, and with a new Ukrainian counterattack, my friends, it will be 100%. I got some of the comments saying that it's hoax, it's fake, Ukrainian army will not attack. We don't have the other choice, and our allies say that Ukraine will go on a counterattack, otherwise we would not have the assault vehicles provided to our country as tanks. And in case of the successful operation, the clashes inside the Russian clan will intensify for sure, and they will not be able to provide the proper defense. And we got some minor changes in Bilohorivka before Russia advanced towards this position, but today they lost some of the ground, so it was yesterday, and it is today. They've lost one field with this forest line. So as you can see, this winter campaign was not as strong as the last year during the spring, summer and autumn time, so the main advantage is expected during the warm period of the year. And Russia simply cannot advance massively as they've done before last year. This time it's turn for Ukrainian army to take the territories back and liberate them. Belgrade again, what is happening to that city? They sometimes have smoke and explosions. As you know, there was the accident with the Russian fighter jet that dropped the bomb to that city. Well, pilot says that he should have launched the gliding bombs. And there are two variants: either the mechanism to release the wings for the bomb didn't work, or it was not even installed on those bombs and pilot thought that those bombs were the gliding bombs and he dropped them over the city. So the gliding bombs usually have the range up to 40 kilometers, the Russian modification. The American modification can fly up to 70 with something kilometers, and we have them in Ukrainian army. The Estonian defense minister says that Ukraine will start the counteroffensive in around 1 month, then the soil will be more or less robust. Well, for the Ukrainian climate, the soil should be good at the end of the April usually. But unfortunately, there were lots of the rains recently near to the front lines on the south and on the east. You see how wet the trenches still are, so it's not a good time for the counteroffensive, otherwise it may fail. So weather plays a great role in the future Ukrainian attack or counterattack. But still, I think that it's gonna happen earlier than 1 month, maybe at the beginning of May. Alright, we have the information from our military intelligence that Russia will try again to assault on Vuhledar. They lost more than 130 armored vehicles this winter in their attempt to get this town, or it's better to say village, under their control, even though there are quite high buildings in this area, but it's not very populated village. And now it's been completely demolished by the Russian artillery fire and the aviation bombs, but still the Ukrainian forces keep resisting in that place. I think that the result for the advancing Russian forces will be the same as before. They will be just completely demolished because it's just open area, there is no way to hide, it's the flat terrain and lots of the minefields and lots of the Ukrainian artillery that may fire towards the Russian positions. My friends, I cannot post all of the videos that I have on this platform, so to be in touch, please go to my Telegram channel for more content from my side. And also I use it as alternate platform if something goes wrong with my YouTube channel. So you may always find me on Telegram. Please subscribe for me over there. Thank you. According to the Ukrainian intelligence, Russia started to build more rockets and they collect them for the future attacks on Ukrainian infrastructure during the late autumn and during the winter time. The last year they were not able to destroy the electrical energy for all of the Ukraine. There were some of the blackouts, and there was also the total blackout on the 23rd of November last year. I remember it, but now everything is more or less okay, and Ukraine even sells the energy to the European Union countries, so Russia will try again this year. But I think that the result will be the same because they will not be able to collect enough rockets. Even with increased production, they will have around 1/3 of what they had the last year. Wow, it's very unusual for Ukraine, but today people there were able to spot the aurora borealis. It shows the increased sun activity, obviously. It's violet in Ukraine, but if we go to the north, to Moscow, for example, so this is Moscow, here you can spot green and blue colors, also violet, and this is, no, I think here it is, it's the St. Petersburg with lots of the green and even white. Fantastic phenomena, and once I was able to spot that from the airplane, it was great. Alright, so we are very close to the extreme stage of the sun activity. Now it's G4, the maximum is G5, that's why we may have some distortions in satellite signals and also radios. My friends, I'm gonna keep you updated on situation in Ukraine, and now if you want to support my job, you may check the links in the video description just below. You may support me on Patreon as well and on the sponsorship on this YouTube channel. I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.